things are changing, and it's because nobody knows. Nobody understands where we're going to go. We don't know what it's going to look like when we open back up. We don't know how many people are going to get their jobs back. You know, there's a lot of people on unemployment right now, many of them assuming that they've got a job to go back to when this is all said and done. But there's going to be a lot of businesses that really can't make it back. And you may not end up with a job. And so they're looking at, hey, where are things going? And there's all these question marks, you know, around it. And so it is starting, we're starting to feel that pitch.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of changes too to debt ratios. So I know, Larry, you were talking to me a couple of days ago as well. You had somebody pre-approved. That you'd already done the pre-approval letter. They've been out looking for a house with a real estate agent. There is absolutely no way that we could have known that this was coming.
Sure.
And they wrote an offer on the house, and then all of a sudden you couldn't do it. So talk to us a little bit about those debt ratios and what you're seeing.
So, you know, up until, you know, things started to change, FHA financing, you could really, they have the most expansive guidelines. FHA is really lenient on qualifying people. So, but during this, I call it the carnivorous virus because I think it's just eating people up.
There you go. I like it.
So, you know, during this, you know, like Debbie had just mentioned, you know, lenders are tightening up and they're unsure and investors aren't willing to buy certain kinds of loans. So HUD has come out and said, okay, well, we'll still do FHA loans. We'll still do a small 3.5% down payment. We know people need those. We know first-time buyers are really important. We want them to get a house. But instead of going up to, you know, they would go as high as 56%. And when I say that, that means they take the housing payment, your taxes, insurance, all your debts, and divide it by your gross monthly income. That really should not exceed 56% of your gross monthly income. Well, HUD's come out and said, well, we still want to do these type of loans, but we want it to be no more than 50. Well, you know, the client I was talking to, you know, wanted this house and he really wanted it. We really got lucky because after reviewing his pay stubs, and I got his pay stubs from last year, it turns out he had a lot of overtime. So we were really lucky. We were able to talk with the underwriter, go over the overtime, what he made in 18 and 19 and average it. And he picked up an extra $600 a month, and that put him back under 50, and he's all happy, and he's in escrow and is able to buy the house. So, but you really have to know, you know, what's going on and what's coming, because you might be working with a lender and they might be telling you one thing, and if you don't stay in touch with them, your qualifications can change, just not because the lender doesn't know what they're doing, but the market's changing really quickly. So you really need to be in touch with your mortgage lender and make sure they're on top of it and make sure that, you know, they're watching out for you.
Right. Now there's even more to that too now. So the 50% debt ratio is if your credit score is over 680. Correct?
Correct.
If we are under 680, which we know that 640 is going to be the lowest we're going to go, you can only go to 45 debt to income ratio.
That's correct.
There is a humongous difference in a sales price between a 45% debt ratio and a 56.9% debt ratio, which is what we were doing before. And when I say 56.9, I'm not kidding. We were pushing people to that 56.99%. And as long as we didn't get to 57, we could still get that loan approved. So, you know, going from 56.9 to 45% could mean the difference, honestly, of almost $200,000 in your sales price capability. So if you have been pre-approved and you know that you were, you know, stretching those debt ratios, or you're heard your mortgage officer say, we're going to go FHA because that's going to help you qualify for more, make sure that you're reaching out again and that you're finding out how much can you still qualify for today. Where really are you?
I want to bring up VA. So on the debt to income ratio on VA, we've been able to push that, I mean, sky high. Sky high.
65, yeah.
I've gotten it approved at 69.8.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not happening anymore.
No.
I mean, it has really, really dropped down. So again, like Debbie's saying, Larry's saying, if you've been pre-approved and you were up there in your ratios, but you got an approved, eligible, your mortgage lender said you're good to go, you need to keep in touch with them, because you may not be anymore, or you may need reserves you didn't need before. So you might have to have extra cash in your bank that you didn't have. So just something to mention. Everything's coming back a little different. It's changing daily right now. the risk appetite for the investors is just not there right now. They do not want high risk. They're looking at lower debt ratios, higher credit scores they want. Cash out loans are much harder if you can do them, investment loans. So if you're looking to buy an investment, you're looking to do cash out, you've got those higher ratios, you've got to get in contact with your loan officer, your mortgage lender, to make sure you're still in good standings.
You do. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to call. It's 844-935-3634. That's 844-WE-LEND-FOR-YOU, LEND, and the number 4. Get on the calendar. You could talk to me. You could talk to Larry. You could talk to Heidi. Get on our calendar. Schedule an appointment. It's a phone consultation. Let us talk to you about your scenario. Let us bring you through where things are at today and, make sure that you're in good shape to move forward. One thing that I do want to bring up that's really big is that, interest rates have been going, woo, right? They've been going up, they've been going down, they've been going up, they've been going down. And there's been a lot of lenders. I've had multiple phone calls. So back a month ago, and I would say it's been about a month, maybe just a little bit longer now, maybe 6 weeks ago, let's call it 6 weeks, interest rates hit the ground. I mean, they just went down so far. And that lasted, about 2 weeks, with March 9th being the very best day we had for 4 hours of that day. Then from there, they've been a roller coaster, just an absolute roller coaster up and down. There are a lot of clients that I have talked to on the phone that I quoted a rate to, that they got a lower rate quote somewhere else, and they are now all coming out of the woodwork and starting to call me back because their lender either didn't perform and didn't get the loan done. They've had their loan canceled because they've been called and they've been told that they don't have any money left to be able to fund loans. So the loan that they had, that they locked in, now they can't have. I've had people call and say that what they were quoted at the beginning, now they're at docs, and now their closing disclosure does not look anything like what they were quoted. And of course, all these people are very upset because if they had just worked with me, even though my interest rate was 0.125 higher in my rate quote over the phone, if they had just worked with me, they'd be closed, they'd have a really great loan, they'd have really great fees, and they didn't. Obviously everybody's out there shopping and they're looking for the best deal that they can get, and we understand that too. I'm the very first person every single time, and Larry's heard me on the phone, Heidi's heard me on the phone. I will tell people that sounds like a fantastic deal. Go get it. I can't get you there. But what we're finding right now is that it is very, very important that you guys are working with a good, solid company that has been in business and that has a good portfolio and that is not going anywhere. So, if you've had those problems, and I've had 3 calls just this week, all 3 of those scenarios. One said that she got a phone call that said that they don't have any more money to fund any more loans, and it was a giant company that I was absolutely shocked, and I'm not going to say that one, who it was, but they have no more money. They told her that she could stay on hold. Now, mind you, she's already paid for an appraisal. She could keep her loan on hold, and they couldn't guarantee her what the interest rate would be, but when they were ready, that they would get back to her and let her move forward. I had another one who they switched him and gave him one rate, and now he's at the closing table and he's got almost 2 points in cost in discount points that were not quoted to him. And I have another one that called and said that, they got this great deal. And I said, send me over the estimate. Let me take a look at it. And the rate is not locked in, which I'm not saying that is a bad thing. Interest rates very well could go down in the future. But we don't know. It's like gambling, right? You're in Vegas and you're standing at the table and you're going, do I take my money because I just hit big, or do I gamble and try to get more, right? If you like the interest rate that you have, that you've been quoted, the payment works for you, to float or, float it out may not be a good idea. If the rate is not quite where you want it to be, floating it out and waiting it out is a good idea. So it really depends on your circumstances. But what I'm hearing is that there's a good amount of companies out there that are not allowing their clients to lock the rate. You have to get the loan started. You have to get your appraisal done. You have to be almost at the closing table before they're allowing rate locks. Why does that happen? Well, there's hedging and there's all kinds of things that are going on behind the scenes. The lenders are overwhelmed in volume. They can only move so fast. There's too much in extension fees. There's too much in hedging, risk costs, locking costs. And so a lot of these companies, the way that they're trying to kind of scale back a little bit is saying, hey, we can't lock in right now, but it's a great rate. You should still really do your application. If it's a great rate, lock it in. If it's not quite where you want it to be, do I think that rates are probably going to go down a little bit more over the coming weeks and months yeah, I think that we'll see as everything stabilizes, I think that we'll see a little bit of a pickup and we may get a little bit better pricing. But, those are things that are going on right now, in the mortgage world that people need to be very aware of. The jumbo lending, I know, that has been just absolutely crazy right now. It's very, very difficult to find jumbo lending. And we do still have, resources to go to get that jumbo lending done. But there are there's banks such as Wells Fargo, for example, and I'm not going to talk anything smack about Wells Fargo, but in 07, 08, 09, when everything was crashing, their little banking history that they had that went on with the accounts and stuff. So they took TARP funds. They were actually told that they could only grow. They've been restricted because they took kind of bailout funds. They've been restricted that they can only have a certain percentage of growth per year, as a company, because they had to take those bailout funds. So, you're not going to get bailout funds and then be allowed to grow exponentially, right? They're going to limit how much that they can grow. And so what's going on is that there's been so much volume come in because of the low interest rates that they have basically hit their peak of what they can grow. So that is why they've changed a lot of their lending guidelines, and that's why a lot of these other big banks have changed a lot of their guidelines. A lot of them are cutting off correspondent or wholesale business, broker business altogether. Some of them are making it a lot more restrictive to get the financing, even if you're going retail from, walk into your bank and apply for the loan. What are some things, Larry, that you've been hearing on that front as far as jumbo lending? Because I did tell everybody last week we were going to talk about, not last week, the week before. We were going to talk about jumbo, and then we never got to it. So what have you been hearing on that front? What have you got? What's your takeaway?
Well, I got a call last week, and they were buying a house about $1.5 million, and they were going to put about $400,000 down. And they went to
Kirkland Signature.
The bank that looks like a stagecoach.
Okay.
Just the names.
Yes.
And they told them that they didn't have enough money in reserves. That they wanted them to have $250,000 in reserves before they would approve their loan. And they had good credit, and everything. And jumbo rates are really, have shot up. They really haven't been where they were, a month ago. But, we're going to be able to do that loan for them just because, they have enough reserves for us. But, banks are scared, I think, and they don't want high-risk loans. And jumbos are high risk just because of the loan amount size. They're risky, and all banks are doing all the the PPP loans. They're doing all the small business administration loans. They're doing all that. So they're overwhelmed. Period. Not just with mortgages, but with all types of lending that the government's approved. They're handling all that too. So they're just completely overwhelmed, and they only have so much room on their credit lines or warehouse lines where they draw money from, fund loans that they're overwhelmed and they're tightening up.
Oh, this is old one. This is old one. This is old.
They really just don't want it.
This is
I think you're going to see